Hello, fellow fools, and welcome to this timeless collective new moon in Virgo reading. So that means that whenever you're watching this video, these are the messages that you need to hear right now. So without further ado, we're going to start with just saying, what is the overall message of this new moon? So it is a time to give rather than take. So this is a time for us to really start thinking about, like, what is the reciprocity in all of our relationships right now and all of the things in our life? Anything that we give energy to, that can be our job, that can be certain hobbies or projects. Like, are we getting out of that the same amount or more maybe than like that we're giving it? You know, we want to find some balance within that. So Virgo is a sign of, it's one of the healers of the zodiac, paired with its sibling sign Pisces. They work together to heal in different ways. Virgo being the more practical body-based healer, whereas Pisces is more of the spiritual healer, right? So we are in Virgo season now, and so, you know, we're really trying to evaluate, like, what are the little details that need to be accomplished, you know, right now? What are the little things that we need to address? Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. This is the planet of our mind, our communication, things like this. So it's always going. It's one of the fastest planets, right? So it's always moving. And so now's a time to really evaluate, like, are the small things that I'm investing in right now helping me build to something for the bigger picture? You know, like, all the small steps that we take every day, you know, that's what's going to lead us down the line to the bigger picture, right? So just know, like, if you, now's a really good time to maybe cut out some habits that are not aligned with the future that you want. So for example, if you're doing a lot of scrolling or video watching, whatever, when you could be maybe not distracting yourself that way, or maybe finding ways of healthy escapism. So, like, you know, if you need to rejuvenate yourself, you know, you can find other ways of doing that that are maybe more healthy. I hate to use the word productive because, you know, but rest is productive. You know, it just depends on how you're defining that word. But now's a really good time to just cut out habits, you know, especially with the South Node right now in Virgo. It's like a release. It's like, what habits do I have on a day-to-day basis that are not healthy for me? Am I eating too much junk food? Am I nourishing my body enough? Am I getting enough exercise? This is a time for, you know, really focusing on your body's health, as well as the health of just, like, you know, the Virgo is, like I said, associated, you know, paired with Pisces. So, you know, Pisces is that escape artist, someone who's really creative, but also can have like a victim complex, you know, whereas Virgo is, you know, very active in healing people, like, physically, right? So, but also there's a perfectionist tendency that Virgo can tend to fall into sometimes. And that can be, you know, it's really nice to be, what's it called? Like, really diligent about the details and really get, you want to do things right? But if that's getting in the way of you actually producing things, like, say you're trying to make this video like I was today, and I was like, the intro's wrong, I have to redo it, right? Redo it. It's like, at some point you've got to just, like, roll with the punches and just let it be, because if you keep letting perfectionism get in your way, you're never going to accomplish anything. So perfection is, I wouldn't say the enemy, because I understand why we would want to strive for perfection, but also perfection lies in the imperfection, you know? So keep that in mind. It's okay to make mistakes and show up imperfectly. You know, new moons are a time for planting a new seed. So as you're thinking about, like, what is the seed that I want to plant, especially for the next 6 months within this realm of, like, my health and habits and, you know, the details of life, like, what do I really want to, what's really important for me to invest in that, and what needs to just, like, be surrendered and let go because it's really not helpful at the end of the day, you know? So there also might be certain people in your life that you're realizing that maybe we're not as aligned as I thought. And it's not that you necessarily need to end friendships or end connections with someone. It's just more like, hey, this relationship is evolving and I'm not sure I want to continue investing this much time or energy in this person anymore. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're like, wow, I'm seeing, like, a whole new world with this person and I'm ready to commit deeper with that person or whatever. But now's a really good time. It's, you know, it's an analytical sign, Virgo. It's like, you know, figuring out the details, and it is an earth sign as well. So it's practical. Like, what is practical and what, you know, is maybe less so. All right, we have a few cards that are coming out, so we're going to work with it. Okay. The first card that came out is the solar eclipse card, and we actually are entering eclipse season. So what is eclipse season? Eclipse season is just a time of fated beginnings and endings. It's the bigger storylines that play out in everyone's lives, and it's right now we're in the Virgo Pisces, well, Pisces especially. Virgo Pisces axis with the nodes, the north nodes in Pisces, south nodes in Virgo. So the last, I think this, it was like about a year ago that it entered these signs, and then we have like about another year to go with this storyline, give or take, some time. But solar eclipses, they do happen twice a year. They're not always complete eclipses, but solar eclipses, this is talking about revolution. Like this card is saying there's a revolution. And so when we're talking about eclipses, which is this really powerful transformational energy that not only impacts like us on our day-to-day life, but like everyone collectively, this is a really big call to like, what is the big revolution that's happening in your life right now? Solar, especially energy, is like purpose. This is active energy. This is you actually taking the action that you need to take to, as opposed to like the lunar eclipse, which is more internal, emotional kind of thing. Solar is like, hey, we got to do this. We're doing this externally. That's how I'm feeling this energy anyway. So a mantra that is coming up with this card in particular is I am supported. So maybe now's a good time to evaluate who in your life is supporting you with your dreams and goals and ambitions right now, but also who outside of like what you can see is also supporting you. Is that tree outside that gives you shade supporting you when you need it? Are your spirit guides or team or ancestors, trying to communicate with you at this time to really help guide you through this change? So all in all, just know that like any eclipse energy is going to be really intense. So I would say that this lunation might bring some intensity to some kind and really like make you make some challenging perhaps decisions about like what's real, what do I need to do. Another thing that's happening with this new moon in particular is that Uranus is involved. So Uranus, that planet of sudden changes, and it's the wild card planet. So also just keep in mind that what's happening right now is it might be full of surprises. Maybe things are happening that were not expected from this time in your life, but just always know that life is happening for you, not to you. So even if things are happening that don't feel like they're something you want, or if it feels terrible, the example I'm going to give you is like, say you're late for work already and then you get a flat tire and you're just like, oh my gosh, could this day get any worse? Like, this is so inconvenient, blah, 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 blah. But you never know what's working behind the scenes. Like maybe that flat tire is the exact thing that you needed in that moment, because maybe you would have gotten in an accident, like a very serious, perhaps even fatal accident, if you had actually tried to leave for work on time that day or didn't get that flat tire, So all in all, the message is everything is up to your perspective. And, we're always going to have inconveniences or things that aren't going to work out like we planned. But if we always have that mindset of, okay, I can trust that life is happening for me, not to me. So even though this thing is happening that I didn't want, it must be for my highest good in the big picture of things. So even though it's uncomfortable in this small moment or a small picture, it's probably more beneficial in the big term. I just can't see it because I'm just a silly human and I can only see what's right in front of me, So another thing about Virgo is that it's associated with the Hermit card, and the Hermit is like a cloaked figure in the darkness who's holding a lantern. And I love this connection with Virgo, because this is really about the wisdom that we have from just taking one step at a time, only seeing what's right in front of us, right? If we have our lantern, we can, see, what's right in front of us, but we can't really see everything beyond that. So there's just a lot of wisdom in like the day-to-day routines, day-to-day commitments, habits, things like that then will get us to where we need to be. But that's the end game is not the point right now. Where we're at is the point. It's about the journey and not the destination, because if we arrived at the destination, then the story's over and there's no, like, where's the plot? What's life worth living if, there's not some dramas or side quests in between. So just keep that in mind. Your perspective is everything. The next house that we have is, or the next card, I should say, that we have is the first house, which is associated with the body. And I love that this card is coming out for Virgo too. It just makes so much sense because Virgo, again, is about taking care of your physical body. This is health routines, things like that. So again, now is a really good time to evaluate, like, are you eating good foods? Are you engaging your body in ways that are healthy? You know, are you stretching? You know, these basic things, like, we live in our bodies every single day. And so if we are not taking care of it, or, you know, it's going to add up and we're going to feel the consequences of that. So this is a reminder, like, that comes first. We're three elements. We are mind, body, spirit, right? So if our body, our very integral part, is like suffering for whatever reason, then so is our mind and spirit, you know? So body, take care of your body. That's a priority at this time. And the last card that we have here is the water element, which is sensing. I was so curious. I was like, why is Pisces like coming up right now? Because this is a Virgo new moon reading, you know, these messages are aligned with that. But again, you can't really, this was my hot take with astrology, is like, if you are talking about one sign, that opposite sibling sign is essential to also understand, because they work as a balance. It's like a pendulum, like one side's one side, the other side's one, but like we really want to find that middle ground in between. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that hot take stuff, but if you want to hear about it, you just leave a comment and I'll tell you all about it. But yeah, this water element is all about sensing. Water is about like the feelings. It's our emotions. It's our feelings, just like those like little instincts. I was going to say gut instinct, which it is like that. That's kind of an earthy kind of thing too, because it's literally your body telling you things. But yeah, water is like associated with memory as well. So, you know, when you walk into a room and just sense like the energy's off or something, and it's just like, I don't know what happened. I can't logically like explain what this feeling is, but I know I feel it and I know that something's weird, you know? So these are just those feelings that you have that it's really easy to logic your way out of this wisdom. So, you know, for example, if you're given two choices, let's say you're applying for two different jobs, you're getting two different offers. One offer seems really great on paper, seems like, you know, really ideal for in a lot of ways, but your feeling is just like, it looks good on paper, but I'm just not feeling it. I don't know what it is necessarily, but I'm not feeling it. But this other job maybe that you have, maybe less good on paper, but it just feels more like aligned with what you're wanting right now, you know? And it's like, well, you know, maybe it's not great on paper, but it just seems like the right decision, you know? So this water element is just kind of trying to get you to realize at this point, like, where at a crossroads are you with your emotions? Like, are you logicifying everything? Because that's very Virgo. Virgo wants to make sense of everything. It's very practical sign, right? Water is not as practical. Water is just like feeling based. But at the end of the day, that's an intelligence that we need to still tap into. And a lot of times people weaken this bond that we have with our emotional intelligence and our emotional, or I guess like our intuitive gifts, because society just tells us like, that's not logical, or that doesn't make sense, like whatever. And it's like, yeah, I guess it's just harder to understand and like really appreciate when it's not right in your face, you know? So this lunation, like this time, like whenever you're listening to this reading, it's a really great time to really just pay attention to what your body's telling you. Pay attention to what your gut feeling is saying, and if that is in alignment with what your mind is saying, because they're supposed to work together. Like, you know, you can't just do everything by your heart, you know, because you need logic to also like make sure you get a grip, because so you're not delusional, you know. But just remember that there is value to that delulu energy, or like more like, I just feel this, like I don't know, but I just feel, you know. So trust that, because that's telling you a lot. It seems like you're being guided towards something specific. Yeah, you're just like entering this new chapter, and so it's going to require a leap of faith of some kind, you know. You're going to have to just take a risk and trust that things are going to work out. But sometimes, yeah, you know, fortune favors the bold. So now might be a time to take that calculated risk. Again, I'm never going to be telling you to take a big risk, you know, like don't do something really silly, like spend all your life savings on lottery tickets, for example. That's not really a good use of your resources, or it's just a calculated risk is more like, okay, well, I'm like what I did when I started doing, you know, astrology and psychic and tarot reading full time. It's like I was in a government job and it wasn't fulfilling. There was work changes and I was like, I could stay and really like suffer because things are changing in a way that are really not aligned for me, or I could just cut my losses and quit and really try to do this thing full time, even though like I'm really scared about getting like making ends meet and all that stuff. But like here I am a year and a half later and doing what I love and making it happen, making it work, you know, and I'm much more fulfilled emotionally and through my passions than I was working a job that wasn't aligned with me anymore, you know, or just doing a job for a paycheck. And I'm not saying this storyline is for everyone, but I'm just saying like, this is the kind of thing that spirit is going to ask us from time to time. Like, is it worth staying in this situation where it's comfortable because you know, and it's reliable, or are we being pushed to grow and try something new and something maybe uncomfortable, you know? So those are the messages that I have for us today. If you are wanting a personal astrology or tarot or psychic reading with me, I do have availability. If you want to book with me in person and here in Denver, Colorado, that's definitely advised. But I also, from time to time, will also do virtual meetings. So if you're interested in any of that, please find me at fortuneofthefool.com and also just on my social medias at Fortune of the Fool. So bye, y'all. Stay foolish.